Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Champions of Inspiration. Got something really important for everybody to learn here today, and I'm sure it will inspire you for sure. My guest is a nutritionist, a personal trainer for over 20 years, quite frankly, somebody who developed a system that I've just learned about that I am more enthralled about learning more about with our lymphatic system. Nina Venturelli, thanks for joining us here on Champions of Inspiration.
Thanks so much, Scott. Glad to be here. Super excited. Thank you.
So we were talking a little bit earlier before we went on about the lymphatic system, and I would say it's probably the most unknown system in our bodies. Would you agree?
100%. 100%. And I'm here to change that, by the way.
Well, so help us understand, what is the lymphatic system and why is it so important we know about it?
Well, like any other journey for most people, we always have our own journey, right? Our own story. So I think I want to start there just so kind of people understand who I am and how this all came about, because I didn't just wake up and start working on people's lymphatic system. I was somebody who actually went through her own health journey for years. I was being misdiagnosed, saying there was nothing wrong with me. It was in my head, overworked, stressed out. And I had every symptom known to mankind. It was like my organs were shutting down. And it happened overnight. And when I was in my journey of trying to find out how to heal my own body, which I found out years later that I had something called systemic candida, which is basically a yeast infection throughout your entire body. And it gets rid of all your good bacteria, your flora. Well, in my process of my journey of trying to understand what was going on with my body and getting answers for myself that I couldn't find through the traditional medical areas and responses, I went to a naturopath and within minutes diagnosed me with systemic candida. And then trying to find something to help me get rid of this yeast. And I realized that the yeast goes dormant into a system called the lymphatic system, which we call a garbage disposal. It's where all the fat and toxins store. And so I learned about it with the understanding of the lymphatic system, didn't know much more than that. And I started getting sessions done. And I thought, well, if yeast goes there, everything else will get rid of it. And maybe I can start to live a normal life, because my symptoms were literally across the board. I had brain fog, couldn't keep a conversation together. I had, chronic fatigue. I had no immune system to speak of. I had rashes and hives all over my body. I had aches and pains throughout all my joints. It was a spectrum of just of different types of symptoms. And, in my 20s is when it happened. It doesn't make any sense. I was a personal trainer, nutritionist. I understood how to work out and eat right, but nothing was working. And so when I was diagnosed with systemic candida and I started researching it, I found that there really was no cure unless you stop eating those foods. I went down to 80 pounds because I eliminated all those foods. And I'm like, that's not sustainable. So when I was researching it, I came across the lymphatic system. I started getting sessions to see if I can get some relief. And the way I know I do that is if I eat something, if the symptoms came back, I know it was there. One of the other areas that I had struggles with was anxiety. Corn, any kind of corn would just spike up anxiety. So I loved Frito corn chips. And I would go ahead, every time I got a session done, I would eat a chip and see if the symptoms would come back. And they did come back, not as strong, but they did come back. So I had the understanding and the knowledge of the lymphatic system, but I didn't fully understand what I was supposed to do with it. I had candida. And I was going through that and I didn't understand what I was supposed to do with that. I had a dream years before that I was opening up a wellness center when I was 19 years old. I really didn't understand it at that time. But what I do believe is that God gives us pieces to puzzles. And when it's time, your puzzle pieces start to come together and they form a picture. Well, mine was starting to form a picture. I just didn't fully understand what the picture looked like, but I knew these pieces were a synergy to something that I was called to. And so years later, and this is really how this happened. So one day I went to bed healthy, woke up sick. One day I went to bed sick, woke up healthy. I was completely supernaturally healed from all symptoms. And to this day I am still. And I know that was God healing me. But I also believe it was so that I can go through the journey that I needed to go through to help other people, right? Your test is your testimony, your message is your message. And so with the understanding of the lymphatic system, I had the knowledge, but I didn't really know what to do with it until I opened up my wellness center in 2006. I opened up a weight loss and wellness center. That was a miraculous thing. I got the money overnight after I said I wanted to open a wellness center. I talked to my husband about it one day. So let me see what I can do. I get $50,000 to open up my wellness center. 2006, we launched a company called Spectacular Health, which was the beginning of a franchise business that I did through wellness centers. And I was given a modality, a healing gift that I didn't know I had. until I started operating in it. So I have a lady on the table. We did like wraps, we did foot detoxes, we did toning tables, we did awful massage. It was like an all-inclusive center. It was very solution-based. And the woman came up to me and I saw it when I unwrapped her ankle. She had edema, which is swelling ankles. I understand that because I know the lymphatic system. And I said, let me just try something. So I start working on her. Have no clue what I'm doing. Absolutely no clue. None. Didn't go to school to learn body work. Had no clue. But I knew what to do, if that makes any sense.
Certainly.
I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew what to do. So I just started working on her about a half hour, just work on her legs. She gets up off the table and she says, I don't know what you did to me, but whatever you did, the swelling is completely gone. I've had this for 14 years. Doctors could not help me. They were only giving me diuretics. I said, oh, awesome. That's great. I didn't know what I was doing. She goes, I have a twin sister. Can you do the same thing? I said, sure. So I did the same thing on her. Now I'm like, this is kind of cool. People are getting results and they're seeing it really, really quickly. And so here's the cool thing about this. When you're in Palm Desert, California, it's a very tight-knit community. When you do something good, people know it. When you do something bad, people know it. Well, guess what? I did something good and they've never heard of it before. It's something new and they're all gravitating to me. So my business is exploding overnight because of this modality that I'm calling lymphatic drainage, because I don't know what else to call it. But here's the beauty part of it. I'm learning as I'm going. So literally I'm working on people and all of a sudden it goes from the legs to the arms, to the face, to the head, to the stomach. I just know what to do. It's like an intuitive God-given gift. And I know exactly how to move fluid and how to direct it into the bladder. And so I've learned through the process of doing, not through education, not through anybody teaching me, but through God himself giving me this modality, this healing modality that is changing people's lives. And what I found is that the way the lymphatic system works, and let's get into the lymphatic system now, it is your garbage disposal, but toxins and fat attract. They attract and they attach to each other. So when your body releases toxins, guess what happens to the fat? It starts to release. So I see people shrinking on my tables. They're losing inches, their pants are bigger. They get off the table after an hour session. Like, this is amazing. I see people getting off the canes and walkers because we're now helping the body to heal itself because we're training the lymphatic system to drain and get rid of the toxins. When you get rid of the toxins, the body can do what it was meant to do, which is heal itself. Then we find out it goes to the weakest link. So if somebody has trauma somewhere in the emotional area, we pull up that trauma as long as there's intent on the other end, and they're starting to see release on physical manifestations because we found out there's a connection between the soul, your mind, will, emotions, and the physical. Whatever's going on in this level, the body's manifesting. So they come together, and when you have something that bridges it together, like this process extract that we're talking about, it actually starts to release it at the same exact time. So you're getting absolute healing on a whole level. And so this kind of all happened really quickly for me, almost like success overnight with this process. But at the same time, as I'm coming out with this process, I'm calling it lymphatic drainage. I don't know what else to call it because this is given to me by God. And I have a woman who's done body work her whole life. And she goes, I heard about your process. Now, this is months later. I've gone through the whole body now. And I'm doing 14 sessions myself a day, 14 sessions a day myself, wow, just on this process alone. Yeah. I mean, and we found that when they do this process first, every other modality is quickened and it manifests even faster. So you start here and then all the other modalities, they just go to another level quicker. And so she said, I heard about your process. Can you work on me? And I did a whole session on her. She gets off the table. She goes, I have no idea what you just did, but this is not lymphatic drainage. And I knew it wasn't, but I didn't know what else to call. I just know I was working on the lymphatic system.
Right.
And so she goes, you need to come up with a different name because you're doing a disservice to this process. I said, okay. So, and this is so outside the box, you guys, than traditional lymphatic work. Those of you who know lymphatic, it is opposite as you can get. And so anyway, I went to sleep. I had a dream. God woke me up at 4 o'clock in the morning. He said, here's your name. Xtract. X is cancel. T is toxic. R is release. A is accelerated. C is cellular. And T is transformation. It does exactly what the name says. It transforms your body and your soul on a cellular level. So we create a new cellular memory where we retrain the lymphatic system. Just like muscle has memory, your lymphatic system has memory. And it helps get rid of residual illness. So the reason that people are getting symptoms all over the globe right now with what's going on with the pandemic is there's different strands. Each one of those strands will start to attach itself to what's going dormant in the lymphatic system. Remember, it's your garbage disposal. all
Right.
those things that you've had over the years, the different illnesses that you've had over the years, they go dormant. You have an immune system, and then you have something that gets rid of the surface of it, but the rest of it goes dormant in the body. And then when your body gets overworked or taxed or has some kind of a strand, like a flu strand, it'll attach whatever it knows, and then it manifests from that point. Does that make sense? That's why shingles.
Makes total sense.
Right. Well, there's the chickenpox virus is still in you. The virus is still there, guys. You have an immune system to overcome it. And you have
Right.
that's what it was built for, but it's still there. So it goes dormant. So your body is holding all these viruses, all this leftover residual illness, and it just sits there. And that's why the body cannot do what it needs to do. And not only that, because toxins of fat attract all that fat sitting there. And not only that, there's trauma, because now we know the soul and the body, they communicate together. Whatever's going on in the soul level, the body's manifesting. So it all goes together. We're a whole being. So that has a lot to do with it as well. So now we're seeing people getting healed of trauma, like emotional release trauma when they do an extract, because of the connection between the two. We're one body, right? We're spirit, soul, and body. We're triune. So if you understand that we work that way, that when things are released, they have to release in unison. They all have to go at the same time. So that's why the traumas are released. That's why we're seeing people look 10 years younger. That's why we're seeing people who've had trauma for 25 years no longer have that trauma. We're seeing it happen so quickly, and it happens on the table. I see people laugh, cry, throw up on the table. You mean it, name it, because they're getting the release. They're releasing what they need to release. And then there's an exchange that takes place for the new. So the old things pass away, all things come anew. There's an exchange that happens on the table. Sorry, I went to a long discussion,
No,
but
it's awesome, because the understanding, I mean, let's start from the beginning. The lymphatic system is our trash can. It's our internal trash can. And I think the other thing that many people assume, if they consider the lymphatic system at all, is that it processes everything very efficiently, kicks it out of our body, and nothing stays there. And the reality is, it's why as we become more mature, that's code word
I like the way you said that. I do like that.
As we become more mature, we've got more toxins clogging and sitting in our systems that we haven't been able to flush. I mean, our systems are amazing that they have that ability
really
to flush. So you've developed now a technique and process that people
helps pull that stuff out.
That exactly, that's it. Get the bad stuff out.
Right, because we don't have a pump. The lymphatic fluid flows up towards the heart and down toward the heart. So it just goes up and down. We have to pump it out. So we've actually have to create a human pump, and we go pretty deep, and we go into that fluid and we move it. We bring it into the bladder. We redirect it into the bladder so the body can eliminate it. Most of the fluid goes into the colon, and then it releases from there. And if you have a lot of issues with elimination, you're going to get even clogged up even more, right? Think about that. So by redirecting it into the bladder, the body eliminates a lot quicker. When you eliminate a lot quicker, you start to see results quicker. So people get off the table, they're going to the bathroom, they're already seeing results. So it usually takes between 10 minutes to 20 minutes for people to see and feel a difference on the table. And then the process starts after the first session, but traditionally we want people to have at least a series of 6. And then we see how they're feeling. And then we do another evaluation and see if, well, we might want to do another series of 6, depending on what they're looking to accomplish. We start with the outcome, and then we help to build out from there. So we want to get people to a maintenance level. We can do sessions every other day, and I've trained people all around the nation to do this process, and we're looking for more people because we know that this works. We know that we are changing people's cellular memory. We're retraining the lymphatic system. We're helping get rid of residual illness. It's going to the weakest link on a spiritual, emotional, and physical level. We've seen it happen. There's an impartation with this gifting. So when I teach somebody this through my accredited academy, they get the same results, if not better. We know it's a great weight loss program because toxins of fat attract. So like we have amazing opportunity with this process, but the goal is to get this out there quicker because we only have 1,000 people nationwide. That's not going to do anything to really make a difference or change the world that we want to change with this process.
Well, again, I want to make sure that everybody understands the process, and I want those in the audience that hear this that may qualify to work with you to understand it as well, because you said very quickly, from when you're, we see change immediately in most cases when you're on the table. Mm-hmm. So on the table, what table is that?
So that's a massage table. It's actually hands-on physical body work. So this is a outside.
That's what I wanted to make sure.
Outside the box lymphatic technique. It's physical body work where it's like a type of massage, but it's not massage. We actually patented it as detoxification. So it's an opportunity to detoxify the lymphatic system, which attaches itself to the spirit, soul, and body, and it all starts to eliminate at the same time. So even whether we're working on the person, even though the steps are the same, every single person gets a different result because everybody's different. So it goes by intent. So let's say somebody wants to just work on a physical level, it only goes to physical. If they want to work on an emotional level, it goes on emotional. If they want to work on all three, it'll go to all three. So the receiver, the person laying on the table, is the facilitator who's actually doing it, they actually follow through with what the body is needing at the time it needs it. Those are the weakest links. It's called quantum feedback.
I mean, it's fabulous to think that you could be laying on the table, that your body would actually inform the person giving you the treatment to then run that treatment, which ultimately serves you virtually immediately.
Yeah. I mean, truly. And the beauty part about this is I can train anybody at any level. So you could be a mom, you could be a dad, you could be a practitioner, you could be a massage therapist. It doesn't matter. The system's the same. It's all online. It's accredited. They get CEs for this. And we have a certification board that represents us. So we've taken all the legal precautions. We make sure that we are considered detoxification, not massage. So you don't have to have a license to do this. There are some hands-on things that you need legally, but we go into all that. And then we also are looking for, so we're also being able to place our graduates as well. So we have other facilities that we can place them in so that we can actually help them start seeing monetization as well. So a lot of healers, they have amazing giftings, but they don't know how to make money. So we teach them how to make money as well at the same time.
Well, again, I think it's fabulous. But this afternoon, I have a appointment with my chiropractor, which we're not only doing chiropractic adjustment, but we will do decompression, but we'll also do medical massage in working on a situation I have. So I certainly am going to inform them that this possibility exists as well. How can those who are hearing this going, oh, come on, can it really be this easy? What do you say to the naysayers?
Well, here's the beauty part of this. I have them get a demo. So every single person, when I opened up my center, I did a free demo, 15-minute demo on every single person. And this is how I did it. I do one leg and not the other. I start at the legs. I always start at the left, and I go in a circle, and I go from legs to arm and off from there. I work on one leg and I don't do the other. I guarantee you they will see a difference. The color will change. Their circulation gets better. There will be a lightness that they've never experienced, and they'll get off the table. They'll be wobbly. They will chase me down to finish it.
Because one's
lighter than the other, because I move fluid. Yeah, absolutely.
One has had the fluid moved and the other one doesn't. So therefore there's immediate effect and they can feel it from there.
Absolutely.
So now, one of the things that we were talking about earlier, you're saying it could be you're feeling sluggish, or maybe you've got headaches or migraines or memory
Those are some of the
loss.
symptoms of detoxification that they need to detox. Those are some of the symptoms that they're going to have, that they're blocked up. Headaches, anxiety, acne, rashes and hives, different types of emotional mood swings, swelling in the ankles or the legs where you're retaining a lot of fluid, weight that you can't get rid of, like if your stomach's really, really hard, that's toxicity in the stomach. So that the colon is being blocked up. So it's just a matter of just under sinus issues. That's another issue. Allergies. These are all symptoms that your body needs to detox. And by cleaning out the lymphatic system, which I believe is literally the missing link to our overall health and well-being, you're going to see a lot of those symptoms start to dissipate.
Well, I think it's interesting. I would agree with you that the lymphatic system, if I think about, I've been teaching and training in the holistic disciplines with chiropractors and massage therapists and acupuncturists and folks, alternative approaches to health.
Yeah.
Gosh, for 20 years now. And I don't know that I ever recall anybody talking about the lymphatic system in that process. I mean, I know the only thing that heals the body is the power that built the body. I know that the only thing that can heal us is our own body.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
It's an amazing being from that side, but I have never that I can recall over this time frame hear anybody talk specifically about the lymphatic system, and if in fact that can be detoxed, um, how miraculous the results can be. I think
And
we need to get this message out.
yeah, and I want you guys to understand something. I did not go to school to learn this. I did not read a book on this. I did not watch a video. This was truly God giving me this download. So I believe this is, we call it a manna experience. You can't even explain it. The results are all over the board. I just talked to one of my instructors in Pennsylvania. She works within a chiropractor's office. This is a great compliment to chiropractors and naturopaths and acupuncturists and anybody else who really does a lot of different types of modalities of body work or other body work. Raindrop, if you're an oiler, it's amazing. But she has somebody whose taste buds changed. He's like, I don't want to eat junk food. He only had 2 sessions. He goes, why is that? I'm like, because you're cleaning out the system and his mindset's changing. Think about this. And then she said, I have somebody whose eyesight's getting better. I said, yeah, because we're aligning things the way they need to be. The body is toxic. It cannot function the way it needs to. You're going to see symptoms happening all over the place. Remember, a lot of it could be trauma. And so what I'll tell you is if you start to work on somebody on a physical level and they don't get the result they're looking for, it's probably going to go to a root, which is something trauma. So then you got to go more into the trauma. And we teach you how to do all that. We teach you how to determine, is it emotional? Is it spiritual? Is it physical? How do we pull that together? How do we bridge this so that they're getting the healing on a whole level? We teach people how to really do that and how to analyze what people need. And we go into groups of 6. We start out with 6 sessions. We want to get rid of that junk as quickly as possible. And then we analyze from there. We say, where are you now? What are you feeling? What are you experiencing? Let's take a look at another 6, maybe. Maybe we're good. We get them to a maintenance. But really what we're doing is we're retraining the lymphatic system. We're changing the cellular memory. Now, guess what? When you do that, you're changing the story. You're getting rid of traumas. What you've experienced at one time in a trauma, that story is no longer the same story. There's an exchange that takes place. Think of it from that perspective, right? Think about how dynamic our bodies are, that God created us to be the way we are, but they're too clogged up. It's like having a clogged up sink. It can't go through what it needs to go through. And I actually call this an oil change for your body. For those of you who really want to get down to the nitty gritty, we call it an oil change for your body. Think of it in this term. You have a car. If you don't change the oil in your car, what's going to happen to your car?
Probably break down or have some kind of issue.
Well, why would we not do the same thing to our body? We have an oil change for our body. Let's change our oil. Let's get it cleansed out so our bodies can perform the way it's supposed to perform. It's an easy analogy, but people get it. We coined it. We said oil change for your body because people can understand. I took a room of 100 people and I asked them, has anybody ever heard of the lymphatic system? Out of those 100 people, 10 people said yes. And very few even understood what it meant. They knew it had something to do with the lymph nodes. Guys, I'm telling you, in the States, we're so behind of what's going on. In Europe, they know what the lymphatic system's about. They check what's going on in the lymph nodes when they get a general practitioner's visit. It's the 4th thing that they look at the lymphatic system. All we get is, oh yeah, that's good. or there's a little swelling, right? But that's it. Even massage therapists, they're told to stay away from the lymphatic system because it's a very intricate system. Isn't it funny how God gets me right into it? He's like, we're going right into that lymphatic system. Let's just go for it. And I can't even tell you, the symptoms are amazing. Go onto my website, look at the testimonials. We have video testimonials. We've been doing this since 2006. I've worked on thousands of people myself. I have 89 graduates that are our instructors that teach this process. I have 1,000 other graduates that have learned this process, that are ready to be placed into facilities, that are ready to go out there and help and heal other people with this modality. And I will say that we need help. We can't change nations. We can't be history makers or world changers until we get this out there. And I said, let's change the world one extract at a time.
Well, I think it's, again, to me, it's my assumption, not, again, I'm just a human, right? I haven't gone and studied this per se either, but just from personal experience, I always felt or always thought that the lymphatic system, yes, it would catch things along the way, but at some time, it would release those back into our system so that it could be cleared out of our body, so that the lymphatics, it was kind of like the baseball glove sitting there waiting for the ball. The ball left. Well, it's not too hard to figure out if there's 6 balls in the glove, it's full. And it's not,
Yeah.
number one, it's not going to catch what it's supposed to catch. But the other side of it is that, that irritation that
Yeah.
creates is going to cause something else to happen.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm creating my own analogies for this now. As I'm thinking about it, it makes tremendous sense to me to address this at the very least. It's funny. A lot of times I'm standing in front of a couple thousand people on stage, and I say, by a show of hands, how many of you don't know what you don't know? Is it fair to say that somebody knows what you don't know?
Exactly.
Is it even possible in this case, our guest knows what you don't know?
Yeah.
And the reality is that's the way I feel about this, learning about this right now,
Yeah.
very seriously. It's like, how do I not know this? Well, I don't know this because it's never been brought to my attention. Well, that's why we do this show. I mean, I want to inspire people. Growth equals awareness. That's what we're doing here,
Yeah.
giving you some new awareness, plus inspired action.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the only way to grow and get better and have a more fulfilled life is to learn more, quite frankly. And
Exactly.
so you mentioned that they can learn more at your website. What is your website?
So it's learn, LEARN, Xtract.com.
That's awesome. And this is a question. How do I find a practitioner in my area?
So on my website, we have Find a Facilitator.
Nice.
And you can go look into your area. We're in about 46 states. And if you can't find somebody, you can contact me. There's a contact form, or you can just directly send a message to me at xtractyou@gmail.com. So xtractyou@gmail.com. Guys, spread the news. We need to help people. We need to get this out there. If you know anybody who wants to get into the wellness industry, who wants to help people make a difference, you can be a mom. You can do it for your family. You can do it for your friends. You can do it for a business. You can work in a facility. We'll help you place you in a facility. We need help. We need to get this out there. It is changing lives. We cannot do it alone. We need you.
I would believe that virtually every existing practitioner, at the very least, needs to know about this and explore the possibility of adding it to their quiver, right? Adding another arrow to their quiver on helping people achieve optimum health, maximum health, whatever. I mean, I know that some of the things that you're talking about, again, this is fascinating for me because it's one of the reasons I'm going through physical therapy and some of the things I'm doing on myself. Now, I shared, as we were talking prior to the show, I shared that I have been through a fairly significant near-death experience. Obviously, I lived. That's the good news.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, are there potential remnants of that are still hanging around?
Yes, trauma, absolutely.
That need to be addressed.
Yeah, so you could have a trauma and 10 years later manifest from it.
Really?
Yes, and it'll hit on a different area. It could be a trauma in your foot, and then all of a sudden you're getting migraine headaches. Because we also work on something called meridians, which I didn't know anything about meridians until I had a Chinese herbalist said, you're working on every single one of your meridians. I had no idea. Okay. So meridians are kind of like energy flow. And when their energy gets blocked, and they relate to certain areas in our body. And so I teach that as well. So I have a whole area of where I teach about meridians. It's an advanced course because there's a lot to it, but there's connections. And so when there's a break in that energy fluid, we're all electrical, we all have energy, we know that, right? And so when there's that break, a disconnect, that's when you start to see issues. And so some of that will actually take place through the trauma, and then it manifests later, years down the road.
Again, just thinking to the abuse that I've given my body over my life, being a 5-sport athlete growing up, completely severed my Achilles tendon at one point. I'm guessing they did a wonderful job. They put me back together. I've been able to do a lot of things that they said I'd never be able to do. But my intuition is telling me there might even be something hanging from that.
Oh, absolutely. And, here's the beauty part of this. I can have somebody up and running, learning this process, working on people within 5 days.
Wow.
Yeah, there's an impartation to this. So it is very doable. It's a very customized. So the systems are the same. It's all step-by-step processes, but every single person on the table is going to get a different result because they're different. So it goes to the weakest link. Remember, so I've seen people get off canes and walkers. I've seen people, I've seen miraculous things that would blow your mind. It would blow your mind. And we're talking after one session. It doesn't end there, but it starts there. And we get people to that level of where they're now maintaining it.
That's awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
and hard to believe that we've run through our time, but I knew we would. We probably have to do a series of shows on this.
There's a lot to it.
Learn Xtract, LearnXtract.com. Xtractu@gmail.com. And how about a last piece of wisdom or words of advice for everybody here?
So just be open-minded, because this is something new. It's very outside the box, and don't let stinking thinking in your way, because this could be the answer you've been looking for. I have seen a spectrum of things happen around people when they get this session, and it does change their life because there's an exchange that happens. But you have to be open-minded, you have to be ready to receive, and you have to be ready to release. And when you're ready to do that, this is when you'll start to see the results you're looking for. And I don't want to be the last resort. I want to be the first resort. Everybody needs to know about this. We need to get this in every person's hands so we can really get the healing that people need. And it does align with other modalities. It's not the end all, the be all, guys, but it is a huge piece to the missing links, what I believe, for optimal health and wholeness on a spirit, soul, and level body.
Nina, thank you so much. I mean, detoxification obviously does not get talked about at all. Lymphatic system doesn't get talked about.
Yeah.
So we greatly appreciate you coming on Champions of Inspiration and sharing this message. Again, we'll have you back and we'll talk more about it for sure.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much, everyone.
Absolutely. And thank you all for joining us here. We'll see you again the next event. God bless.
Bye.
Great day.